like to give you a glimpse about Anand Bhaiya. Anand Bhaiya is currently senior lead at Qualcomm, and also he was an ex-coordinator of AIM Robo Club in 2016. And some of his domains cover like ARM architecture and Linux-based development methods. Now, hello, Bhaiya.
Hello, yes.
Uh, hello, Bhaiya. Anand Bhaiya, is there any issue on your side? I think Bhaiya is facing some issue. He will be joining in just 2 minutes. I think network issue is there on his side.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Bhaiya, you are audible. Hello, Bhaiya.
I'm not able to hear you. If Vidita you are speaking, let me see.
Bhaiya, you are audible. Can you listen now?
Somehow I'm not able to hear anyone. I'll do one thing. I'll rejoin. Let's see if it solves.
You are audible now.
Hello.
Yes, Bhaiya, you are audible.
Yeah,
Can you hear us now?
yeah. Now I can hear you. That is very good.
Okay. Okay. Hello, Bhaiya.
Yeah, hi.
So, Bhaiya, we can start, I think, now, if you are
Okay. So
comfortable.
how should we want to go through? I basically wanted it to be like if any questions you people have related to jobs, what to do in college, what not to do in college, those questions I can take. But as such, for my side means I don't have any. PPT or any material to present. So to start with, if you people are interested in my journey, I can explain a bit. And meanwhile, Vidita or Aradhya, you people can see if there are any questions. You can let me know and I can try to answer. Does that sounds good?
Right, Bhaiya, that sounds great. You can start with your journey, then we'll take up.
Okay, so I passed out in the year 2016 and I did my BTech from the electronics department. Now, during the college, I'll tell you about like what all I did in college, where is my first placement, what all changes I made in the career, and what's my current role. Okay, so in my college, like everyone, I was also an average student. Now, regarding the extracurricular activities, I was like volunteering in mostly all the clubs, fest. Finally, in the final year, I was a coordinator at ZCT. I also was the coordinator at the TPO. From the college, I got basically two placements. One was in secure meters. At that time, there was company secure meters that used to come. They used to make this energy meters and all. They are located in Udaipur. And the second offer was from the same, your Zia Semiconductor. And yeah, so they were these two offers with me, and I finally decided to join secure meters in Udaipur. There, I was there for probably a couple of months, and then I make a switch to Bangalore. You know, the company was On Semiconductor, ON. Now it has been renamed to On Semi. There, I was there for the 2 years, and about what all work I did. Basically, the work was related to your board support package, mainly like what kind of work you do in the Robo Club. You can consider it like a one or two step deep into that. So we basically used to look into the actual chips when the new chip comes, it put it in the board, how you bring the device, UART, SPI, how those communication protocols work, how the wireless communication takes place, those kind of things. There I was there for close to 2 years, and then I made a switch to ARM. You would have heard about this ARM architecture. So there I was there for 1 year. There I worked on the deep into the architecture ARM V8 and ARM V7, mobile architecture, which is your A profile, storage architecture, which is your R profile, IoT or embedded architecture, which is called M profile. So basically, ARM has these three profiles. So I've worked on those. Then later, after 1 year, I made a final switch in Qualcomm. Here, I'm working as like a architecture performance engineer. So basically, I'm here from close to 2.5 years now. Here, what we basically looks into the architecture of a chip. Something like you know about the ARM architecture. You might have heard about the ARM architecture. You might have heard about the Intel architecture. Similarly, in Qualcomm, there is a modem group. They use their separate architecture than the ARM architecture. So there we look into the performance and those kind of areas. So I'm not going deep into what all I'm doing, but why I wanted to give you a sense of it is you can relate it like what kind of work I've done. So if you have some questions around it, yeah, you can let me know. Or if there are any specific questions, yeah, feel free to ask. Yeah, that's all. Yeah,
Mohammed,
means if
huh.
go ahead.
Mohammed Hassan has raised his hand. Do you want to ask any question?
Yeah,
You
did
can.
you try off-campus placements?
Yeah, during the college time,
Yes, Bhaiya.
yeah, uh, not much. But yeah, at that time I was aware about there's something called Naukri platform. So I created the profile and I keep eyeing on the random jobs. But not in the college time, but in the last month or like after passing out. Yeah, so I tried it and I did not get any calls. At least not from the respected one. So something like yeah, like you have a lot of inspiration. So you start pinging Qualcomm, you start applying for TI, you start applying for all the famous names you have heard. But yeah, I never got a call from them. Yeah, but I would have got a call from the lower ones, like which gives you like 2 or 3 lakhs package, something similar. Those kind of roles, yeah, I would have got the call. But yeah, I already have that kind of job already in the secure meters. So I was not interested in
Okay, Amar Upadhyay, you can go ahead.
Yeah,
that. Oh, Amar,
hello.
do you also have the question now?
Yes, yes, Anand bhaiya, I have one question. That what is the role of means CPI in placement or after you are pass out from the college?
Okay. Before answering it, I'll introduce Amar. Okay. So Amar is, those who don't know him, he's a 2017 pass out. He was also from the same electronics. He was also the coordinator at the club. One means I was the coordinator at 2016 and he's the coordinator at 2017. About him, why I'm giving the overview about him is so you people can ask the questions from him as well. So he has worked in the Asia Semiconductor, I think, for 4 years, and now he's working in the NVIDIA. Okay. Yeah, so the question what he asked is CPI. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, me. For me, at least, no one has asked ever. And I never missed anything because my CPI was not high. So my CPI was 8.7. But even if no one asked me why it is 8.7, why it is not 9, and why it is better than 8, no one ever asked. So yeah, CPI doesn't matter much.
Okay, one more question I have. For
Mhm.
example, one student have two options. One is like a good role in a product company, and second is like higher studies from a good college. Means in electronics, take for example. Uh,
Mhm.
so what should they choose, and what is good for if they want to do job only? They have no research interest. They wanted to do job, and they have two options. Like one is product company, a role in product company, and a opportunity to do a masters. So what do you prefer?
Yeah, again, it depends actually. So you're saying means if someone has already a good job, probably higher studies won't add much. But whether that job is good enough for him or not, I don't means if he knows it that he can't get a better job after MTech, no need to go it. But it depends a lot of things. Uh, means I can explain from my perspective why I did not think much about the higher studies. The reason is means after coming out, once I get the placement in on semiconductor, I knew it. The stream is fine, and if I can give 2 more years to the same role, I know means I would reach to the same position or same kind of role. What I'll get it from them, and yeah, so means so now if you look at me, right? Okay, I'll tell you what benefits I got if I did not do the MTech, and I did lot a lot of hard work, much more than any MTech guy would have done. So after this, today, if you see it, I passed it 2016. It is 22 now. So it is 6 years. So whenever I go into a job and my profile is looked into, it is looked like okay, this guy has a 6 years of experience. Similarly, if I would have done the MTech, my profile would be look like he has a 4 years of experience. So now this 2 years of experience but this is actually a good thing because now I can ask for higher compensation, higher role, more responsibilities, and those kind of things. But this works only if you are ready to do a lot of hard work. So if you go by MTech, things would be easier to achieve. You can get a good placement. You need not to work like a what do you say like a fresher or means those who don't have the support. I would say, yeah, MTech makes the things much easier. But yeah, if you already have got a good placement, I don't think MTech would add much.
That's pretty true. But I myself had a few questions, and here.
Mhm.
So it's a very common perception these days that, especially in electronics core, we don't have much job opportunities right now. So how true is that in the industry, and how can like students who are interested in core can reach there?
Okay, there are
Uh,
too many jobs in electronics at least. So if I have to say, electronics and CS have a lot of jobs. So as an electronics, now the thing is, what kind of job you want. So generally, in my time also there was this comparison. Okay, CS has a lot of jobs, electronics does not have a jobs. That's not true, but electronics actually have a high profile jobs or a high quality jobs. So something like the person who goes into the VLSI, it's not easy to directly go from the BTech. For a VLSI role, generally or 90% of the companies ask for an MTech because there only you get a true exposure. So yeah, in electronics there are a lot of jobs, but yeah, some jobs need a much more specialization, and for that, companies prefer MTech guys.
Okay, so we must like there's a good approach if we go towards MTech if you want to go in core. So
Yeah, so core is everything. It depends what you call it a core. If whatever you are doing in the Robo Club, if you say it's a core, yeah, you can get it from the BTech. If you think layout designing or digital analog design is the core, yeah, for that you have to go into the MTech, and then it would be much more easier. So like I'll explain you. Amar. Amar is from BTech only, and since he joined the Zia Semiconductor, he's have seen the whole core side, which you will call it. If you're saying layout is a core, he was already in the core. He
okay,
knows he might would have been get in touch with the design also, but yeah, the journey is not as good as you will think. So if you are from directly from the BTech, it would be a bit harder to directly get a full-time placement in topmost semiconductor companies. Their MTech actually comes to help.
okay, thank you. So there are a few questions in the chat box. Let's take them up. So first question is from Syed Mohammed Suhaib. What percentage of your time at on semi was in the debugging and reverse engineering?
Okay, so this reverse engineering, this word is probably you would have heard that in India, there's no real work happens and they just go to the uh, opponent's code, they will look into it, and based on the reverse engineering, they find out what they are doing, and we should also do the same thing. So probably those things happens, but no. I never come into any of the organization where they do this kind of reverse engineering, that they go to their uh, opponents or they go into the market and see what other companies are doing and they do the reverse engineering of the code and they do it. No, it doesn't happen like that. Now, okay, debugging part, yeah. So development and the debugging goes hand in hand. Why I'm saying it? So let's say if you write a new code, obviously it's in development. But if a company is there from let's say last 10 to 20 years, you still will have new features. You will still have to write the code, but you have to maintain the older code as well. So something new feature comes, probably some of the old feature would get broken, then you have to go and fix it. So you can say development and debugging goes in hand, but reverse engineering, no, no, not everywhere. If the perspective it okay, every company is doing the reverse engineering, no, that's not a correct statement.
All right, moving forward. Next question is how to grab a good opportunity in second year being an electronics engineering student.
Okay, not easy. If since we are from the AMU, not we don't get that kind of exposure to get the internship. Yeah, now how you can get the internship is there are the hacker rank. There are so many platforms. That's a one way you can apply for the internship because some internships, like in Amazon, there are a lot of internships that keeps on coming. So there, if you can crack the interview round or if you can crack the coding round, yeah, you can get the internship. Or if I would say the other ways, like in electronics engineer, what I think is that we are not much comfortable in coding and we always want an easy way to do this stuff. So what I mean by the easy way is, hey, ask me the theoretical question, I'll give the answers, and they give me the internship. But the problem with that is on the company side, it's a bit harder to identify, to just remove. So to I shouldn't say to reject the candidate, but yeah, the correct problem would be to reject the candidate. You can't just do it on the theoretical because out of 50 people, 40 people can answer the theoretical answers. For that, coding comes apart. If you are not good in coding, then you can do one thing is you can reach out to the electronics department teachers, and if they have the context, that's one way you can go. So on the same note, on the third year, similarly means as I told, I was not good in the coding and I was never interested as well. So there was a company called Eigen Technologies. So in the electronics department, I think the application came to the Ikram sir. I already knew the Ikram sir, and Ikram sir also took asked for the application from all the final year students, and based upon the, I think it was based upon the merit and the project. he forwarded some of those resumes. And since in my resume there were lots of projects which I've done, whether it's projects in the Robo Club or my pre-final year projects or the final year projects, based upon that, yeah, I got a chance to intern at the Icon Technologies. So Icon, just to give you an idea about the Icon Technologies, it's just like a startup that was in initial stage, and they used to do the same wireless transmission based upon the Zigbee kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how I got the internship.
Okay, we surely have the idea now. So, extending this question itself, I myself have a doubt that, as you were talking about coding, so like, do we just have to clear our basics about the coding, or do you have to go in depth in DSA and everything?
It depends what the kind of package you want. So if you are happy with a 3-4 lakhs package, functions are fine. If you want to increase your package, you want to go into the double digit, yes, you should know the data structures, you should know the operating systems, you should know the pointers. Those things should be there. Now it's up to you. If so, at what point of time you would want, so everyone, I think everyone here would wants to have a good package. All the luxuries wants to work in the MNCs. But yeah, for that, how I understood is there are 2 or 3 things which you necessarily needs. One is the data structures. Now, obviously for CS, it's you have to cover up everything. But if there are electrical, electronics students, and they want to know what they have to do it, so basically you start from the structures, unions, linked list, pointers, queue, stack. At least these things you should be good enough. Now, the typical concept like tree, hash maps, those kind of things probably you can avoid. But yeah, till the linked list, tags, and queues, yes, you should be aware. Regarding the operating system, okay, in electronics also we don't read the operating system. And believe me or not, but generally in all the other colleges, there is at least a one subject where they teach people what is operating system and all the operating system concepts. That's another thing you people should learn. In the operating system, basically you should know what's a fragmentation, what's a priority inversion, what's a deadlock, how the page table mapping happens, what is TLBs, what is MMU, how virtual address is converted into the physical address, what's caches, what's uh, L to fetch, means what is fetch, eviction, those kind of things at least you should know. So whatever topics I told, if uh, electrical, if you're asking specific for electrical and electronics, if you do this, I would say 70 or 80% course is covered. So you need not to do everything. Yeah, but if you do this, I think for electronics, it's electrical, it's more than enough, at least for a fresher.
Okay, thank you. So, next question we'll take from Mohammed Ahad. He's asking, can you share some projects that you did in BTech?
Okay, projects is what all I did. So I started with probably the line follower. Then I would have done la- uh, laser detection kind. Okay, so when I did the auto, so how? Okay, I'll start from how my journey starts for the project. So in the first year, I at that time we were me and a few of my friends. We were thinking what to do since we didn't knew anything, and yeah, the only thing is we wanted to do something. So there was this from the Robo Club at that time. In that year, there was some alumni, and they floated a project, and they said, okay, we'll take up the volunteers who want to do that project. So the project name was something about Nopa's electroplating station. Those alumni means I'm still in touch with the alumni. Oh, you people might be aware. He was Mohammed Omer. Omer Bhai is in the Samsung currently. And yeah, even Faraz Bhai was involved in that project. So yeah, that was the point where I started it. We did that project throughout the summer. We showed it to Ikram sir and the uh, other teachers as well. Yeah, then the fest comes. In the fest, we tried the line follower. and there was some motion detection robot as well. These were the two things I did, and then again another fest comes. So there we created something laser tag. So we created that jackets. We put up the sensors on the jacket, and we prepared a gun with the laser. So we divided into two teams, four each person, and yeah, that kind of whole jacket, sensors, and laser inventory I prepared. During that time, we also got a communication from the physical department, means physical education department, and they were looking for something like some system where they can detect when the person is crossing. So that system was for the racing. So now they wanted a system which can be used in house or outside, or outside in the environment. And the basic idea was if he wants to track how much distance was covered in how much time. Not from the stopwatch, but they have the laser sensor mechanism. So there was a laser, and there was which was always hitting the sensors. If someone crosses it, uh, that inhibits and the sensor detects, okay, there is some inhibitor. So that was the one. The idea is simple, but since there was uh, no setup currently available, so that time I was able to get it patent under physical education department diagrams. So after that, when I was doing the internship, I told you right in third year I was doing the internship at Icon Technology. So there I got to know about there are lots of wireless protocol. Zigbee is one of them. So since I did a lot of learning already there, so final year project I did a Zigbee based wireless communication. Apart from it, in the second year I also did a GSM based result system. So something like you send a message to a specific number, and that when you send a message, it will see what's your username, and based upon it, it will check the PPI or whatever it is, and then it will send it back to the user. That was again through all the GSM. These are the 4 or 5 projects I have done.
Okay, thank you, Bhaiya. I hope that answers your question, Ahad. So, do we have any more questions from the audience? Anyone?
Yes, hello, Anand here.
Yeah.
First question is from my side is from mechanical engineering branch. I always hear from seniors and mostly people as well that is so very less chances in get job with mechanical. So can you tell me how can make better my career and how can I proceed with the mechanical branch?
Okay. So in mechanical, uh, also feel that there are jobs are less, but the reason is different though. In mechanical, there again some jobs needs a high skill. So in India, they don't have much market, and people, lot of my friends in mechanical go for a MS and did MS in Germany, and there they got placed. Talking about the roles, there are still a lot of jobs. So I knew some of the seniors in secure meters. They used to do the AutoCAD designing and all. There are when you design any hardware. Okay, so I'll tell you. Think it, if you create any product, where all the mechanical engineering comes into play. So now, if someone is making a mobile, okay, chips and all is coming from the electronics guy, but the whole covering, SolidWorks design, where what goes into it, all this is coming from the mechanical engineer. Now the only thing is we have to find that niche, and there we can go. So there are still a lot of opportunities, but yeah, since I'm not much into this mechanical domain, I might not be able to answer it. But generally, what I have seen it in my friends is mechanical engineering people mostly look for either through gate they go it and then go into any AutoCAD designing or industry.
Okay, thank you, Bhaiya.
Okay, next question is from Kritika Jain. Do anyone find problem getting job when he had completed BTech after diploma engineering?
No, actually, if you ask me, I would pick up the diploma person if I have to rate it, the person who has done BTech after 12th and the person who has done BTech after diploma, I'll prefer the diploma person. Again, the reason is that in diploma you do all the you would have already covered a lot of things which you are planning to go into BTech. So 10th and 12th doesn't help much in the job, but yeah, if a person is doing 4-year BTech or a 5-year BTech, that would help. At least I would prefer diploma as a better option. But yeah, if you're asking if there's a differentiation of you, will you be getting a benefit of it? No. Generally, these discussions never comes into picture. At least it never comes in my discussion, or I never heard that since the person has done the diploma, he is not selected or he is selected. Nothing like that. It doesn't affect much.
All right, moving forward. Next question
Yeah,
is from
just one second. There was
yeah,
a question before. Najmus, what are pointers? It is
right.
related to programming? Yes. So pointers are the concept of C programming. From the question, it seems like you might be in the first year or you are not belonging to the electronics or computers or electrical branch. But yeah, the pointers are the concept of C programming or any programming. But yeah, since you study the C programming first, you'll it's always better to start from the C programming. Yeah, go on.
So the next question is also from Najmut, and he's asking, as an electrical engineering student, what will be our role in RoboClub?
Road. It depends what all you want to do it. See, how I have always seen, probably I'm wrong, okay. How I have always seen the Robo Club is it I can create a lot of projects there and I can get a lot of networking there, and based upon that projects I can get a good job. That was my notion from the first year, how I have always seen the Robo Club. Okay. Now, since you're from the electrical department, AC, if you have to do the gate and then you will do the MTech and then you will do the job, then probably these projects will be used for you, because once you start appearing for the placement, yeah, projects would help. But your idea is no, I'll go into the PSUs. Then in PSUs, projects won't help, but the clubs. Now, when I'm saying clubs, I'm considering all the clubs. These clubs helps you to develop your personality. Now, what would happen is you will come in touch with a lot of people. Probably day to day, you will talk to seniors, you will talk to juniors. After some time, you'll also have to guide others as well. So basically, by here, what is happening is you are developing your own personality, and this, if you are developing your personality, that would help uh, at every steps in your life, whether it's a job, whether it's a higher studies and all. Yeah. So if you can specify, if you're asking me in terms of a job, probably I can describe a bit more.
As you were talking about PSUs, Bhaiya, there's one question that I usually come across from juniors, that which is a good job opportunity, whether government job like from GATE we can go to PSU, or should we directly go to a private company? So
It
that
depends from person to person. Frankly speaking, for me, private is much better than the government. But yeah, means, and I never went to the government job, so I can't comment that government job is bad. But yeah, it depends from person to person. For me, I think private job is much better.
okay. So usually the question goes like, should we take a 1 year drop for GATE, or do we have to go for a job like BTech after MTech right after BTech, or MTech after some job experience would be better? So which one would you suggest?
Again, there is no yes or no answer here. Okay, so I'll tell you both the pros and the cons. So you did the BTech today, and if you start the MTech and then you start the job, probably let's say today is 22, you will do the MTech by 24, and then you will start doing a job. Now the benefits are okay. From by the 24, you will start earning, and I'm considering that you already got a good placement in good MTech college, probably IIT or triple ITs. Then your life is set, and you would have already got a good job in 24. Now, if you like now, let's do the job for 1 or 2 years, and then based upon that, I'll decide what to do next, in which domain I want to do the MTech, and that's how I'll go. That is also totally fine. But now in that, the con is if you have worked for 1 or 2 years after the BTech, probably first thing is you would have worked at the lower skills. Your skills are lower, your package would be lower. Okay. And you never know after 1 or 2 years of job whether you would have enough time to prepare for the MTech or not. And even if you have enough time to prepare, whether you can get a good college or not. So if, now let's say you worked for 2 years, you got experience. When you come to office, you also prepare for the gate and you did wonderful in the gate. Then you also got a MTech in IIT or triple IT. Now you have already wasted 1 or 2 years. Now after MTech, when you go into any job, in most of the cases, they will consider you as a fresher. Okay, obviously in some companies they will put you at a one grade higher. So like BTech would be like a associate software engineer and the MTech would be like a software engineer. But that grade doesn't help you much in the future because if you would have already done the MTech and you would have proceed, probably after 5 years, it doesn't matter much whether you did the BTech or MTech. At least I think so. But for so the initial person would have got 5 years of experience, but you would have got only the 3 years of experience on your resume.
Okay, I got that. So next question is from Mohammed Ahad. Do students from branches like civil or mechanical have shot at MNCs in software industry if we develop a good programming skill in DSA or competitive programming?
So you're asking whether the mechanical or civil students can get a good job after learning the programming? Is that what the question was?
Yeah.
Yes, correct. So as long as you know the programming, branch does not matter. I know a lot of people who did something who did like a civil engineering, but yeah, they were always interested into the coding, and that's how they went into the uh, Amazon, Google, and all. So their branch does not matter much as long as you have the skills to show, whether it's a TSA, operating systems, and system design. But probably for the freshers, it's not matters much. As long as you have those skills, it branch does not matter much. I'll tell you one example when I was in BTech. So I'm a 2016 pass out, and in 2015 there was one person in electronics. Okay, he was not at all interested in electronics. Okay, but yeah, he was quite good in computers. So when the company like Paytm comes, no one was able to crack the interviews, but he was able to crack it. His name was Daud Bhai. So he was able to clear the interviews, and he was the only person from the electronics who got a job in Paytm. Now, just to explain you what Paytm, how the company means, you already know the company, but what kind of role was proper software role, and they would have all the data structures and algorithms questions, and he was able to crack it. Yeah, I don't think branch matters much as long as you are good in DSA and OS.
Okay. Next question is from Kshitij. Is it worth to learn Arduino at home alone without a team because of the inability to reach out to club?
Yeah,
So
learning is always good. That's how I would say. But yeah, everything has its own challenges. Now, if you are learning Arduino at home, probably you if you online anyways all the tutorials are there. Okay, so you can learn from the tutorials and you can learn yourself, and probably you can create the projects as well. Once you create the projects, you will get a good idea. So everything is fine. If you want, you can do it. But always think it. See how I think. Like whenever I have to do something, like I don't have anything to do other than means. So sometimes when I think how what should I do, I generally think what would help me a lot in the long time. Now, if I think my projects would learning Arduino will help me for a long time, yes, I'll start learning. Whether I can do maximum utilization from the home, so I'll go and do it. Something like when I started working on the OS, learning OS, I know no one would be coming to teach me. So I go ahead and started watching the videos. That's how I did it. When I have to work on the final year project, yes, I did it at home. So you can do it at home because in the home you have all the comfort, and you can have your own lab kind of thing where you can do the experiments and you can work overtime as well. But again, it depends what is needed by you and where you are interested in.
All right. Next question is from Neha Gupta. I am a second year CS student and I did basics of C, but I want to have command on one programming language. So, which language should I choose to get a great placement?
Yeah. See, C programming is good, but I feel for the CS students, if they go with the CPP or Python, that would be the better approach. And the reason is in the C programming, you don't have a concepts of objects or classes. And that's a so think it like this. Always think like a use where you will use it. So when you say about the CPP, C++, this programming you will use generally. It can be used at the application development. It can be used at a lower or a middle level kind of thing. And here you have all the concepts. Now, if you directly jump into the Python, probably you would have all the libraries. Python has its own use cases. There you have all the packages. So for the project development, you can go and do a lot of things on Python, something like machine learning, data analytics, NLP programming, and lot many things you can do it on Python. But yeah, understood. Like if what's your priority? Your priority is to develop the projects. Go with Python. Your priority is to develop your coding skills. I would prefer you go with CPP.
Okay. So, I see Rishabh Verma has raised his hand. Rishabh, you can please open your mic and ask the question.
Thank you, Aradhya. Hello भैया,
Yeah, hi.
I am ऋषभ, थर्ड ईयर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स स्टूडेंट. So भैया, जैसे आपने बताया कि as Qualcomm and other core companies hire for the MTech graduate, so does Qualcomm hire for the interns from BTech?
Yeah, they hire it. So basically, what these companies do is they already have a tie-up. Okay, now every company keeps on going into the colleges. So they might be they already have a tie-up with Triple IT Delhi people or maybe other Triple ITs, IITs, NITs, PITs, and all. So they directly hire it from them. Yeah, but if you're asking like whether they will hire us if we apply, it would be already obviously a much tough task because if they already filled up all the interns from those, we don't have much chance being from the AMU and from the legal. But yeah, if you ask me like a plain question, whether do they hire the interns? Yes, they do hire interns from BTech.
And can we apply by referrals? So, and what should be the skill state needed from the BTech graduate if we apply through referral?
No, you're asking whether can we apply through a referral, and what was the
Yes.
second part?
Yeah, and what are the skills they need for?
Okay, again, so this, yes, you can apply from the reference part. No issues. If you send me, I'll refer you. But I'll tell you my experience. Till now, I've referred so many candidates. Okay, so many people from, even from the AMU, which have finally at pass out. And probably it's my bad luck, but none of them were able to be selected. Okay, now the problem is not that uh, company does not hire, but the thing is they can if they can get a better person, why they would pick anyone from AMU, City or any other colleges as long as they are not IITs or triple ITs. Now majorly again it depends what kind of in which role you are applying. Now if you're applying a role similar to the embedded kind of thing, DSA, operating systems, computer architecture, these are the three areas which are more than sufficient. And as long and plus if you have the projects, that's a cherry on cake. Now if you have all these three four, I think you are eligible. And yeah, it would be easier for a you can means generally what happens is in the interviews they ask questions around the same only because these are the basics and they know probably these concepts will be used in the job. In Qualcomm probably you can have a good hold on the communications as well, but again it depends on which role you are applying for.
Okay, thank you, Vijay.
Yeah.
All right, Zed, you can please ask your question.
Hello, Anand. Hello,
Hi.
Murabhaya. It's nice to have both of you here. So, I am from electronics third year. So, continuing on what Rishabh asked. So, what does Qualcomm or Nvidia demand from a third year student to apply for intern? Like, I have some basic knowledge of FPGA, and I have a good hold on the basics of digital electronics, and also I have done one intern in embedded systems as well. What are the requirements if applies and for internship in NVIDIA or in Qualcomm?
So I told already, right? Operating systems is the basic. Now you tell me, right? You know the basics of embedded systems. Now it depends what we think as a basic. So I'll tell you, when I was in college, I used to say that I know the basic C programming, and my level was I know that there is a function call. That was the maximum I know. Function call by value. But from the interview perspective, the basics are: do you know the function call by reference? Can you create structures? Can you create unions? Can you create a linked list? Can you reverse the linked list? Can you create stacks, queues? Can you do a pointer? Do you know what all can be done with the pointers? What all cannot be done with the pointers? These are basics for them. For us, it is much higher level. So that's the difference. Now, probably we also think that we know the basics of operating system. For them, basics of operating systems are: what are the cache replacement policies? Okay, what is TLB? How you will do the priority inversion? What is mutex, semaphore, spin lock? Tell us the differences. So that's basic for them. Now they are expecting the same from you, but that for us that is actually an advanced thing. Since we never did the higher C programming, we never did the higher OS, we never did the computer architecture course. And again, obviously it depends on which role you are applying. Now, if you're applying uh, for a more, I'll talk in terms of qual. So okay, I'll give you another perspective which I get to know much later. See, there are lots of companies, and you should first understand what those companies majorly do. So NVIDIA is a company which deals in OS. So when you will give any interviews about from NVIDIA, expect a lot of questions on operating systems. When you works with the when you will give an interview with the Qualcomm, expects a lot of questions on the C mix of C programming, operating systems, and computer architecture, and the communication as well, because that's their area where they do a lot of work. But yeah, again, it can change a lot. Means there could be a lot of things they can ask out of the blues, which we won't be ready. But there you can say, okay, always try to drive your interview. Okay, so what I do is, let's say I give any interview. Okay, now if someone asks me a question that I don't know, hello,
Yeah, Bhaiya. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So if someone asks me a question and I don't know the answer, so basically how I drive my interviews, I say, hey, I'm not much good. Let's say he asked me the questions in the computer architecture and I don't know. So I would say, hey, I'm not much clear, or I'm not well polished in this computer architecture, but I can tell you what I think about it, and most probably I would be wrong. Then first I'll give the explanation what I think, and then say, no, but I'm a good holding, or my USP is operating systems or the C programming. I'm good in that, so if you can ask for it, that would be really helpful. That's how I say it. So I always try to drive my interview, and I try to bring the interviewer back to the place where I'm strong in. At least you have to develop at least two subjects where you are strong, and which are most common, like everyone will ask from it. That's why I prefer operating systems, computer architecture, and C programming. I'm not good in communication. Okay, so if someone asks me, I said, hey, I work mostly on the computer architecture and operating system, so I don't know much about it. But yeah, when he comes to the computer architecture and the operating systems or C programming, yeah, I'll make sure if he asks me a question, I answer him everything around that question. So he knows. Even if you don't ask the question and I know the answer, means I know something else, I keep on blabbering it. The benefit of it is interviewer has only 1 hour. Now he might be having the 10 questions. Probably if he asking you, instead of taking 5 minutes to each question, try explaining more. Try explaining for 10 minutes now. Who is holding you? If you know the knowledge, just put it in front of him and show him that okay, you know this, and this. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Priya. Okay, let's take some questions from the chat box again. So, Nibraz Hassan Zehra has a question. Should we focus on mastering few programming languages or should we have basic idea of most of all the programming languages? Which one is better?
Okay, I don't think anyone can have the basic idea of all the programming, and the reason is how I see it. Okay, so when I passed out, there were Android apps were being developed in the Java, I think. Then probably after 2 or 3 years, Android apps has started being developed. I think it's in Kotlin. So these programming languages keep on coming, and it depends where is the use. So you might have heard about this Python and Ruby. Initially, Ruby was being used mainly into all the data science projects and all. But now, with time, most of the people are using the Python. So even if someone has learned Ruby, it's good. Obviously, it would help. But whether he would be able to expertise in the Ruby and all the other programming language, I don't think much. So as long as you have a good hold in one or two programmings, I think it's more than enough. So I'll tell you how I deal this question is. So basically, my experience is mainly in the C programming and the assembly programming. So if someone asks me, "Hey, okay, you are fine, but in our company we do all the work related to the CPP, and you have not worked on it," so just tell him, "Hey, I know I don't know the CPP, but I also know since I have an idea about the CPP that if you know the C programming, you can also manage in the CPP, and it won't take much time to start maintaining or developing the code in the CPP." Now, since I already know there is not much difference, I can give the justification. So you got it right. You should know a little bit like what's the difference between programming you know and another programming, and whether you can ramp up on it or not. If you can justify it, and there's nothing wrong in it. Even manager knows, or even the interviewer knows that okay, there's not much difference, and obviously, if he knows these basics, he can ramp up on it. So that's how you can handle if you don't know all the programming questions.
Okay. Moving forward, next question is from Tehseen Alam. What are the opportunities for electronics engineer after doing MTech?
Lots of. So you can go into the embedded system. You can go into the VLSI. You can go into the operating systems. You can. So there are unlimited opportunities. I can't even mention each of it. So it depends na, in which MTech you are doing. So if you are doing the MTech probably after electronics, you can do the MTech in VLSI. So then the VLSI jobs. If you do it in communication, then there is a communication job. If you do it in the networking, there are lots of networking jobs like in Cisco, Juniper, and all. If you do it in the data uh, computers, then again all the computer jobs would be available. You can go into the computer architecture. There are lot many. There is no limit. It all depends where you want to do the job. Now, if you ask me like which specialization generally people prefer as an electronics individual, it again depends actually where you're interested. But generally people consider like a VLSI as the premium part. VLSI हुआ आपका uh, yeah, generally if you are asking the hardcore electronics guy who always wanted to be in electronics, he will prefer the VLSI.
Okay.
And there are all the semiconductor companies hires for it.
Okay. Next question is from Aman Ahmed, and he wants to ask. He's currently not in CS branch, and he wants to ask: should he focus on coding even if his branch does not upgrade because he's interested in CS, or should he focus towards upgradation first?
Mm, so the first year you should actually enjoy and start making connections. Okay, that's how I see it. Now, if you are in, I don't know which is your current branch. Now, I'm assuming you might be in the mechanical or civil branch, and you might need a 9 CPI kind of thing to upgrade. And in first year, I don't think that is too hard to get. Okay, so it's not as hard that you leave out everything and just keep on reading the material and start scoring 9.5 or 10. You can do it with the limited amount of workload as well. You can get a CPI of 9. Uh, Again, keep on taking the guidance from the seniors in colleges. Probably last year, they would be knowing it. What was the CPI required for the branch upgrade? But see, if I would be on your place, I would generally put up a priority. For me, there are already 3 years remaining. Now, if I have to learn coding, I can do the second, third, fourth year as well. If I have to do the projects, I can do it. No one can snatch it from me. But yeah, if I don't get a CS, it could impact my career. Right. So yeah, I would focus on, if you really want to go into the CS, yeah, I would focus on getting a good CPI.
Okay. So next question is from Neha Gupta again, and she's asking from which platform should she learn CPP or Python?
Platform, you use it on any IDE. So if you're asking me whether you should do the hacker rank or other platforms, lead code and all, those comes when you start preparing for the competitive programming. Now, if you want to just learn it, pick up any book and start reading it to solve the questions. You can just have any idea. You can have a code blocks. You can have a Eclipse. You can have a virtual studio. Anything is fine.
Okay. Next question is from Suhaib, and he's asking is startup versus good company, which is better for freshers?
What What do you mean by good company? If you mean that good company is something MNC, it
Right, any
again
image.
depends. If I would be on your place, I would have choose the MNC, not a startup. The reason is when you go into the MNC, you get a lot of resources. So that's what I realized it. Like these companies, let's call it like you go in a, like in Qualcomm, if you see it, there are so many resources which is available. You can do a lot of courses. Trainings keep on happening. If you can take out extra time, you can do all that stuff. Okay, in startup, it would be something like 9 to 9 job. Obviously, you will learn a lot, but whether that learning would be helpful in your career or where you want to go, I'm not sure. It depends. Okay, but if you ask me, I would always choose a good company than a startup.
Okay. Next question is from Tehseen. She has two
And
questions.
just to add on it, I actually did that. So when I did an internship at the Icon Technologies, when I came out, they offered me the job there. And yeah, obviously, and the package was also same, like secure meters and see whatever they were giving during the joining. But I did not choose it, and the reason was I knew it means I need the resources to learn. At this time, I'm not good enough that I start without learning. I start spending 9 to 10 hours uh, on something which I'm not even sure whether I would be whether it would have a too much scope after 10 years or not. I first wanted to go into the MNC, see what all are the possibilities and where I want to go. Yeah.
Okay, so next question is from Tehseen. She has two questions. So she's asking, in your opinion, electronics engineering, MTech is better to grab a good package or not? And then, as a first year student, should she start preparing for GATE and ESE as well?
Yeah. So see, I told you right, you can get a good package on the BTech as well. But the effort which you have to put